We're cutting, and it looks like China's strutting, because despite the U.S. pledging to cut emissions over the next decade, China has no intention to do so until 2015, which again would be like me agreeing to a diet that I won't start in 15 years. Food for thought. Fat chance you'd buy it. Republican strategist Lisa Boothe says this really sinks this deal. Democratic strategist Jessica Ehrlich says the U.S. needs to be a leader here. And China, I guess you argue, will go and follow suit, right?
Well, yes, they need to. Hopefully they will and stick to the agreement. And hopefully we'll get a lot more countries other than just China on this agreement as well.
I'd sign on to anything that gives me 15 years to think about it.
Well, we have, from the United States side of it also, we do have a while to implement it. I think it's almost till 1028, and we haven't been as stringent and specific as, say, the EU has or Switzerland in terms of exactly the greenhouse gases we're going to cut specifically. So it's really more of a general agreement, and let's try to get countries like Brazil and everyone on there.
You hit on a very key point. Lisa, my argument is this whole thing is a sham. What do you think?
Well, it's legally dubious. And look, this isn't what's in the best interest for the country. What this is about is President Obama looking to cement his legacy on climate change, and that's expensive.
Yeah, but in order to have a legacy on climate change, something would have had to change on climate change. Not a commitment to address it, but actually addressing it. That's your big beat. That's your big worry, right?
And look, Neil, this is a fool's pledge. What President Obama is essentially doing is saying that, we're going to cut our emissions by 28%. Meanwhile, China is going to continue building their energy infrastructure. They're going to continue their emissions. Look, China is going to emit more emissions in 1 month than we're going to be reducing in an entire year. And what this is hundreds of billions of dollars in regulation, and we're going to send jobs overseas. It's a job killer.
Well, are they committing any funds to this yet, the Chinese?
The Chinese, I'm not aware of.
And they have a lot of money.
Yeah, and from our standpoint, I haven't heard any specifics of numbers that we're committing either.
So why did we even do this? If we're, like you say, 2028, whatever, and they're 2030.
Right. Well, we have to it has to be the first step, because we have got to deal on a global level with greenhouse gas emissions. And the worst offenders are these third world countries, China really being one, and then also in South America, and you've got Brazil.
But there's nothing great about committing to do something that's 10, 15 years out, right?
But you're at least saying it's an issue, we're going to address it, and we're going to have this going forward. And if you're going to
I love you dearly, but it's not the same thing, right? I mean, if I commit to losing weight, but say I'm really going to get serious about it in 2030, my kids are going to be on Social Security.
Well, at least it gives them time to implement these plans, and we have to be able to say, do as I say, not as not as I do. We can't be a world leader in that way.
And we don't even know if China's going to follow through. Look, the reality is that
she raised a good point. We don't even know if we're following through.
Well, and look, and 2/3 of the federal government has not signed off on this. Over a dozen states have threatened to fight this. So by the time that the legal battles wrap up, President Obama is going to be out of office. Look, this isn't what the American people want either. There's a recent poll by Gallup that shows that support for global climate change as a concern for Americans is at a near record. Americans listed at the bottom of their concerns regarding the environment as well.
Well, it's still an important issue. We're a global leader. We have to address this, even if it's a long-term goal.
But we've had a mamby-pamby way of showing that, but we're a global leader.
Well, I mean, let's just say, okay, then we've got 5 years to do it. China needs to implement it. Then it's going to be, where's this money coming from? This is going to hurt our businesses. It's a regulation issue.
But better that than just saying, we're going to take care of it in 15 years.
This way, it gives us time to implement long-term strategies and make sure there's a plan.
I could redecorate the world in 15 years, right?
I would like to see that.
Well, and in the meantime, businesses are going to be punished by this. This is a job killer, and not to mention that it would ultimately lead to, increased energy costs.
But I'm more worried now. But ladies, what I'm more worried about is China using us here. China saying, whatever they get out of this, because we've given them or offered them something to get out of this, to get them on board. I don't know what it is. But looking at the secret nature of the Iran deal and the Sergeant Bergdahl deal, I always start fearing what was done behind closed doors, and I suspect we've offered China something that will come to light maybe earlier than 15 years from now.
Well, and can anyone trust China or trust President Obama to make a good deal?
I don't trust us.
I don't either. I don't trust President Obama.
With Lisa on that in terms of trusting China on this, I'm more concerned about when we've got issues like TPP and bigger trade issues. This is really more of an agreement that's sort of a multinational agreement, everyone coming together and saying.
You will agree it's bogus.
I hope it's the first step in some actual real change.
But it's the first step in being bogus.
I believe, I'm an optimist. I believe that this is how the world changes. We make resolutions. We say we believe in human rights as on a global level. We believe that this
I believe in being thinner, and I'm going to commit to it when my kids have grandkids.
Admitting it is the first step.
And they're 12 and 13.
Right? Isn't that what they say?
Yes, they are. Ladies, I want to thank you both very, very much. I don't mean to make light of this, but, well, I mean to make light.